welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. It is a wonderful Wednesday, and we are bringing you everything, everywhere, all at once, right here at the same time with Nick and Mike. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, happy Wednesday, man. I am sweating over here. How are you?
I, I'm not sweating at this very moment, but that's because I'm on my third change of shirts.
Very good.
Well,
What's
I've
going on, Mike?
I've perfected the art of not moving at all and not turning on anything in my house and opening up the doors, and I am staying nice and cool.
You're slowing down the molecules around you so that it cools your body off.
Yeah.
I heard some superhero shit going on over there too.
Yeah.
Can't you see it happening right now?
Yeah.
Can't you see it? Look at my aura. Just look at it.
Just chill. That's what we all should have did. We definitely should have put blue lights on us to just insinuate that it's much cooler than it is at the moment. Because, man, over here in West Hell, we are shooting Wednesday's episode of Screen Time
Feels
Continuum.
like this.
And, you know, that looks more like East Hell. I don't know if you've ever been. But, but for those who are with us, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Wednesday's episode of Screen Time Continuum. The movie we are covering today is a very popular movie right now, something that everyone I know is either interested in, has seen, and is ranting or raving about, depending on how you go about with your critique. And I don't know anyone who knows of this movie and is not interested in seeing it. With that being said, this is the 2022 movie starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Shu, Ki Young Kwan. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis. What's her name? Jenny Slate. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird how I know people's names, and I'll assume I don't in my own head. I'll just assume I don't know their name. But a couple of other notable names, as well as a small cameo by Randy Newman. That's right, the same guy who made the Pixar songs and other songs that we probably just won't talk about at this moment. But with that,
My
I wanna
favorite, hold on, my favorite Randy
Uh,
Newman song,
Don't do
Short
it.
People.
Do it. Honestly, it's my favorite Randy Newman song as well. And to give just full context on those who know of the severe Randy Newman songs, but not the background, he made those songs for you to cringe, to know how terrible it is to say those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But most people just didn't get that, and they turned into cult classics somehow. Kudos to him though, because Weird Al Yankovic kind of did the same thing. It's like they made songs for a totally different purpose than what they were received for, and still made him a fortune.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just a little bit of background on the movie before we get into first impressions, or even I even feel like we might have to do how were we introduced to the concept or to this film in general, because I think one of my ways of being firmly introduced to this was actually it was more than ironic. I'll say that now, but this movie was written initially for Jackie Chan. I'll start with that. Ironically, it ended up starring his 1992 co-star from Super Cop. Where's that 1990? Damn, when did Super Cop come out?
Oh, I don't know. Can't quiz me on that, man. Come on.
Dang it! Come on. What do you? I figured. Oh man, I should look it up. I thought about that when I was writing that down, and I initially was like, "One of you guys are gonna know when Super Cop came out."
Why would we know when Super Cop came out?
Because it was a good movie. Am I the only one who's seen Super Cop?
You might have been. Maybe. I don't know if I've seen it.
My bad. Okay. Jackie Chan.
92?
92. Yeah, okay, it was 92. Ooh, look at that. Right.
Very good. Nice.
Right. I didn't even write that down, but I maybe I saw it when I was looking it up. I'll say that much.
Hey, you got a 6.9 out of 10. So you know it's good.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm not saying it blows your socks off, but it is a pretty decent and good movie. And you also have to remember back then it was like all slapstick, Three Stooges level martial arts and comedy mixed together. So
Better than Time Cop?
yes. Wait.
No.
I might have to go revisit that.
Time Cop is a very silly movie too.
They're both silly movies in my opinion. Excuse me. But you know what? Somebody might differ. So I'm just going to move on from that. So this movie was originally released at South by Southwest March 11th. That was the very first time it was shown to the general public. Then it was released in general theaters or limited theaters, excuse me, on March 23rd, and April 8th is when Studio A24 put it out into all theaters and it became a full release. Um, I did not write down the numbers, but the numbers on this is pretty impressive considering uh, it's been out really let's see, April, May, June, July, 3-4 months, but I don't think anybody really knew about this movie until the beginning of June. To my knowledge, I don't think I even heard of it or saw anyone talking about it um within the confines of the ether, right? So with that, I have to ask the question, and that's why I kind of let it that way for myself. How did you guys originally get introduced into this movie before we get into the movie and first introductions?
Oh, I don't know. I think I saw a YouTube trailer for it at some point, or maybe a trailer in Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
that's exactly what it was for me.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
Have you ever been to the Tree Promenade?
Okay.
All right, so right there, the back alley.
Hmm.
I was walking through there, and there was this guy who had like independent movies, like on a little card, and he was like, "My man, let me talk to you real quick. Come here, come here." I was like, "What's up?" And he shows me this card, and all the movies are on there. There was one of the movies on there, so I checked it out, and it was great, and I loved it. And that's how I found out about it.
That's awesome. So you got one of those private screening
One of the private screening things.
situations.
No, I saw like bits of the trailer online, but I never not bits of the trailer. Like I saw it pop up on my YouTube feed, but I never like really cared. But at the time, I was like I had recently gotten like an AMC see 3 movies a week for like $25 a month, and 3 movies are free, kind of thing, like a membership.
Right.
Actually, exactly like a membership. That's what it is. And so it was one of the 3 movies I saw, and I absolutely loved it. It was just something that I picked out of the blue.
Nice. So you didn't even you had no clue what you were getting into. It just came on you. I like that. So for me, I have this thing. I don't know why I do it, but sometimes I'm up 1, 2 in the morning and I'll watch those long, like 15, 20-minute videos sometimes of a compilation of trailers. And a shorter trailer, a very short trailer, maybe a 45-second minute trailer for this was on there, and it was immediately followed by a movie called Uma. Um, and I forget the lead actress in that, but I remember when I was a little younger, I used to confuse her and Michelle Yeoh often. And not because they really look alike or anything like that, but because I wasn't familiar with their names. I just knew they were both Asian actresses. Um, so I was curious in it from that, but I didn't know the name. I had no reference point for it, nothing to remember except for just a small thought in my head, like, man, I know the star. I just can't remember exactly which one it was. Come to Doctor Strange movie, and I see it, and it's ironic. You're going to see a movie about the multiverse, and you get this trailer, and this was probably the standout trailer before the Doctor Strange movie. Like, this trailer made you want to watch this movie over watching Doctor Strange, my opinion. So that's how I was introduced to it. To me, that was my real introduction. Excuse me, because it wasn't until Doctor Strange that I really understood or I had a clue of what I was looking forward to. And from that point forward, hell, I mean, even when we covered Doctor Strange, I want to say we kind of brung this movie up when we covered the Doctor Strange movie.
I'm sorry. Do news articles count as hearing about the movie, like about knowing about its existence?
Yeah.
So
And that's what I meant when I said I didn't see it anywhere, because I've read plenty of things about other things that are coming out in like 2025, and I hadn't heard anything about this.
okay, so there's an article about Jamie Lee Curtis. I think one of the producers or somebody on set wanted her to like suck in her gut, and she was like, "No, I'm not going to do that. That's not what this character does. This is like an attack person. It's not what she does." And that was that article reading about how she did that was the first interaction I had with this movie.
Nice. Now, that's a great introduction. That's a great intro. And from someone like Jamie Lee Curtis to have such a note like that, like, hold on, wait, no, that's you might have bring this character to me, but I'm telling you from what I've seen, this is not what that character does. I like
And it
that.
makes the character so much better too.
Oh, agree that she's a little sloppy.
Well, I don't care attitude. Yeah, the sloppiness, all it just. I'm an IRS agent. What are you gonna do?
But yeah, exactly. I have the power, and it's all
Yeah.
right here between these fingers. A couple of other notes. Ki Hugh Kwan. I really hope I'm saying that properly. But so he is Short Round from Indiana Jones. Which Indiana Jones was that? Temple of the
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Okay, got it. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
And he also was in the Goonies.
Played Data in the Goonies.
Right. Now, I found that out after to me, that's awesome. But there were two more notable things that I found out about. So a lot of Asian actors credit him as someone who kind of broke down those doors for them and inspired them to do it by him being a child actor. Later on, he becomes the choreographer of fight scenes in movies such as like The One back in 2001. He said when Crazy Rich Asians came out, so that was his contribution, right? When Crazy Rich Asians came out, he said that inspired him to get back into acting. So he credits the new age actors with getting him back in, and they credit him with opening the door for them. I think that's that's really cool to share and like just beautiful. But that's two things in one from him as an actor, his journey, and how he's inspired other people. They inspired him at the same time, finding out he's the choreographer or the assistant choreographer for the fight scenes in The One. Yo, that movie was amazing. Like to this day, I don't know if there's many movies that rival some of those fight scenes in that movie. So, and put this movie in that category as well. So, with that being said, I think that is all of my little tit and tad bits that I caught while looking through other things about this movie. Now, let's get into it. And with that being said, I don't know, should we do spoilers 2, 3 months, 4 months in? I think we're good on spoilers at this point, right? If you haven't seen it,
But to be fair, it's an A24 movie. It's very like art housey.
all right. You know what? Yeah, I'll run with that. So for those who have not seen this movie and want to see this movie and you cannot stomach being told what's going to happen ahead of time, please, this is your spoiler warning now. We have only given you background on the movie and the behind the scenes information, so to speak. You have gotten nothing about this actual movie. So if you would like to press pause, hit save, go on over and check out the movie. You can go to the theater if you like to, come back another day, check us out. We'll be sitting right here for you. But if you've already seen the movie or if you don't mind those spoilers that we're about to drop on you, stay tuned because we're about to give you a whole lot of information about a whole lot of movie. With that being said, fellas, what's your initial reaction to this movie? First interactions, first reactions. Aha.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I have an interesting past with this movie. I saw it in the theaters. I'm just going to talk about the theater experience. The first time I tried to see it, the bulb on the projector actually like burst. So we got our money back. And like I said, I was part of a membership deal. So I only went in and bought like dinner and alcohol. So all that was fun day. I was a little discouraged about trying to see it again. But I was going to see Doctor Strange a couple days later. So I just lined them both up on the same date, and I got to see this movie first and then Doctor Strange. And it gave me the realization that this movie does a perfect job at making the multiverse a character. Right? It does it fantastically. Absolutely love this film. I love the way it's shot. Like the plot and the story does a great job pulling you in with this very small story between the mother and the daughter and like the family story, and then building out this big crazy world around it. Terminator 2 does this in a very similar fashion of bring you in with the family-ass story and then the big crazy thing happening around it. The editing was great. Like there's nothing bad I can say about this movie except for maybe the absurdity of the hot dog fingers is a little strange. I'm sure we'll dive into that. But it's supposed to be absurd and offbeat and bizarre. But I absolutely love this movie.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. I
Um,
see that.
Yeah, I would say that I would agree. I've seen it twice so far in the last 3 days. I'll probably watch it again at some point. Pick up new things upon rewatching, which is really nice. Sound design is incredible. I just keep picking up like little elements of the sound design with like, the Everything Bagel, and we'll get into all of that stuff. But I thought the editing was really incredible too. I don't know if you didn't have a very clear story and a really good editor, I don't know if the movie would have been as good. Because I think the editor does a great job at helping make the story cohesive. Michelle Yeoh is perfect. I know they wanted to use Jackie Chan, but I'm so glad that they didn't, because I think she does an incredible job. And I would have questioned about what the dynamics of the spouse would have been if, like Wayman wasn't in the picture. So I think that's great. It's a perfect movie. It was made with $25 million, which is a tenth of what Doctor Strange cost. A tenth.
Do you?
Legitimately.
Do I what?
No, I'll hold it for later. Continue. First
Okay.
impressions.
Yeah. No, I would think that this movie is very good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we'll talk a lot more about that. So
For sure. To add to that, Nick, so this movie was, I think, edited by only 9 people, 2 of which being the directors, which that's amazing. And then, so I just realized with you were saying that about the way the script was written. So when I did look into it, it was written with Jackie Chan in mind, but it was changed for the exactly for the relationship dynamic. They realized it would be better to write it in as a female character. So after they wrote it, they did a rewrite before they even began casting or anything. But it just so happened that the first thought was Jackie Chan, and then when they switched it up to the female, ironically, it ends up being Michelle Yeoh.
right. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I realized, I'm like, maybe I said that incorrectly.
Yeah.
But no, for sure. Were you done with your first impressions?
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
I fully agree with everything you guys have said. I too, Nick, have watched it twice within the last 3 days. I wanted to, honestly, I was trying to watch it, just speed watch it the last hour before we started shooting, but I only rented it. So
Yeah.
it literally cut out on me. I think I was at about the hour and 30-minute mark, just skimming through it again, and then it cut on me, and I was like, God dang it. But yeah, no, absolutely a great movie. I can't think of too many things that I didn't like, even the things that made you like, wait, what the hell? It's like, oh, okay, I see how that fits. Kinda, not really, but I let it go. Acting, choreography, it was something about, and I don't even know if it's cinematography in this one, but location. There were so many different looks. I don't even know if they were in different locations. There were so many different looks that if they were on a stage, the stage design people are amazing, and if they weren't on a stage, the location scout is amazing to have found all of these invariable or various places that can be used to really tell this story, because this story is everywhere. But like you said, Mike, it's a story that's everywhere, but it properly gives the multiverse identity. It makes it an actual character that I can almost relate to the multiverse in itself outside of knowing the people. Like, you just tell me about how this multiverse works, and it makes perfect sense almost. So yeah, with that, I would almost say for those who are questioning where movies stand today, this might be a nice refresher for them.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Given the fact that the budget was so small, and I think it was 37 days for filming.
Ooh, wow.
Something like that. So very relatively short. Now, of course, editing and all that other stuff took a lot more time, but the filming aspect only took 37 days. I think it's a really good testament to what you can do if you have a good story. and you have passion for a story. I think that's it's a harsh juxtaposition when you look at something like Doctor Strange, which had the potential to be really good and interesting, and I think just kind of fell flat because there were too many cooks in the kitchen. If that makes any sense, like it feels like there's just too many hands in the pot trying to, like make it one way or another. And this movie to me is a very good representation of somebody with vision, or two people, because it's the Daniels. Yeah, two people with a vision. And it doesn't seem like the vision was pulled apart too much. I think they're probably flexible about certain elements of it, but it seems like they already knew what they wanted in the film, and they executed that really well.
No, for sure. A tidbit, something that I remember hearing or reading somewhere, I don't remember where. Daniel Radcliffe apparently was approached to make a cameo in this movie, but it didn't fit his schedule. But he was quoted to say the Daniels are the only people that he will go on record to say he'll say yes to a job with them without reading the script, without even seeing the script or knowing the concept. He'll just say yes because of the way they work.
Oh, they did a Swiss Army Man with him.
Yes, they did Swiss Army Man and
A24, I think.
Another A24 film, and A24's other 2022 hit. Actually, I just remembered is Uncut Gems, the first Adam Sandler flick of the year, which he's kind of killing this year. I didn't really think about that, but yeah. So
like sort of like that tells too when when a director has a vision, or the directors have a clear vision. That is like your golden vehicle to success. Because if you know exactly what you want, then you can have those quick turnaround times, like 37 days.
Right.
Because you're just getting it done. You already know what the edit's going to look like and all of that. So it kind of makes sense why high level actors would gravitate towards that sort of vibe.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think again, I really do think that it's a great, like Keelan said, if you want to be reinvigorated by film, this is one of the movies this year that's doing that, for me at least. I will be very upset if it doesn't get acknowledged, this year, and especially with the run that this year has had so far. I mean, this has got to be a contender.
Yeah, because it's like finally, and even the sort of humorous takes with like the IRS trophies being the butt plugs, or
I love that.
The bizarre ways you like bump yourself through the multiverse, the bizarre actions you have to do. All that stuff, like that levity, just reminds me of like, oh yeah, this is why I like movies, because there's something weird and fantastical about the whole experience.
And another perfect representation of, if you like the story and the characters, you will suspend your disbelief. When Waymond ate that chapstick, I was like, what the hell is he doing? But then when it's explained and later in the film, I'm like, oh, that's genius. It makes so much. And then it becomes a comedic element to the entire movie where you're like, what's the craziest thing that they have to do?
And it makes the science less sciencey and just
right. It makes it a little bit more absurd, which is the ultimate, the ultimate underlying narratives of this movie, which again is really nice because it's a deeply philosophical movie as well, which I appreciate because it's tackling really hard themes of life, existentialism, nihilism, suicide,
language barriers.
Yeah, the expansiveness of the universe.
Yeah, the idea that you can only... So, like, one of the core mechanics in the movie is that you can bring in skills from other universes, but you have to do something to push yourself along that path to get there. For example, I don't know, like, let's say I'm like caught in a situation where I think one of the characters needed like the skills of a ballerina. So she had to like do something to her body to force herself closer to the universe where she becomes a ballerina. It could be anything like, I don't know, pulling a hangnail, or like putting a tack in you. It could be as normal as eating chapstick or something like that.
It has to be a high level of randomness.
Yeah, because you get into like this, the the probabilistic nature of the multiverse. But it pushes you that much closer to that universe, so then you start to like memory meld and pull all of those ideas out. But this has a damaging effect for most people onto your brain. But if you can handle the stress, then you can gain the knowledge of everything everywhere all at once,
right?
which breaks like the main villain sort of not moral code, but just understanding of reality, where she gets the idea that she just wants to end everything. So it gets really deep to like what happens when you get to that ultimate point of knowledge.
Yeah.
You truly can do everything.
I think that is such a point in this movie. And ironically, and I'll say this now, they don't really give you the answer, but the answer is almost obvious, right? Because you get the information, and to me, the answer is obvious in the way that Evelyn, we'll get there. The way Evelyn sees it versus the way Jobu Tupac Jobu Tupaki sees it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to credit that to maturity and experience. Yeah, Jobu Tupaki has all the experiences of all of the different hers in the universe, but all of the different hers in the universe are only what, 21, 20?
Yeah, it's also a commentary on the concept of omniscience, and this really, so Evelyn's character represents this unfulfilled dreams. It's this concept that if you had all the time in the universe, if you could be everywhere in the universe, you'd have all the abilities to fulfill every dream that you've had. Mm-hmm. And when we see Evelyn at the beginning of the movie, she is just the amalgam of all the broken dreams that she's had. And what this movie tries to do, and I think it does really well, is demonstrate that, well, when you have it all, everything becomes meaningless. And so when you do have everything becomes nothing. When you put everything on a bagel, it collapses in on itself. That's the whole metaphor of that, which I really like, because it gives the character something to anchor themselves in, which is obviously the first scene that you see in the movie is family, them singing karaoke together.
And they don't. Okay, so I learned something else. In early versions of this movie, you actually hear the song they're singing, and I think it would have been really cool. So there is a possibility that Awkwafina could have ended up being the daughter versus Stephanie Hsu. Of course, it ended up being Stephanie Hsu. That's who we see. But they were singing the song "Barbie Girl" by Aqua.
Mm-hmm.
And it got pulled, of course, because it didn't get cleared for the final version. But in early versions of the movie, there were references to that, and they were singing the song. So you see her cover her daughter's mouth, and that's because I forgot what part of it they I can't remember. But there's a part of the song that is like a parent wouldn't want to hear their kid say it because it's kind of sexually suggestive. And I thought that was interesting to learn that after seeing the movie twice. And seeing that scene, and it has this, even though it's silent, it still has such a powerful tone to it, because you see the unity of the family, and you have this understanding that they're just having fun, and that's all they really want to do is be with each other and have fun, and that is the greatest thing that they could get before you're introduced to all of the chaos in the world.
Well, and the one of the biggest themes in this movie too is circles, right? So you see them in a circle in the mirror. Where they're singing the karaoke, that sort of encapsulates the everythingness, which this movie is the Wizard of Oz. Really, it's Dorothy finding out that she didn't need to go past her backyard to have everything that she's ever wanted.
Right. Wizard of the Matrix, you mean?
Wizard of the Matrix. That's good. I like that. But yeah, I really love the use of circles. So you get the circle mirror, then you have the washing machines. I noticed too in the second go around, all the food is circular.
Yep.
So there's no square foods at all in the movie, which is really funny.
What, you mean like lame foods? Like
no
like haggis or something? What are you talking about?
Like haggis?
Yeah.
Like you don't see any cartons of milk or anything.
No toast that has glasses on or anything. But yeah, I just like the heavy symbolism that keeps getting used is another way to sort of drill in the story to you, which I really appreciate because this is a great movie for the second viewing. Because I found the first time I watched it, and I guess we can get into talking about this first opening scene, right? The pace of it is frantic, which is really good, I think, in illustrating how. And I think the first line of the movie is "Stop playing around. We don't have the time."
Yeah.
And so that's just like the whole theme for that whole establishment scene of the laundromat. It's just her being fed up with everything, exacerbated, not wanting to handle everything. And I think she just does a really good job. And I think the movie does a good job about establishing as much as you need to know about all these characters within the span of, I think, like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't take long for you to have a really good understanding of what's going on. And I really appreciate that this chaos and this noise is rudimentary. It's normal. There's nothing abnormal about it. This is simply life. Versus they could have made it to where it's like, she was seeking some type of a relief from what she's going through. It's like, nah, she was really just living life, minding her business. You don't see that a lot. A lot of the times the main character is automatically introduced to, oh, well, your life's in shambles. And it's like, nah, she was kind of smooth with what was going on. I mean, it wasn't the best, but she wasn't looking for divorce. She wasn't looking for a way out.
She was definitely avoiding all that stuff.
She was avoiding every single bit of it and just living what came matter the way it came. That to me, along with what you're saying, my bad, Mike, but along with what you're saying, Nick, that to me was also different. You don't get that about the main character early unless we're literally deconstructing that character from the beginning of the movie. That sometimes that happens, and then of course they become, the Neo type, or in this case, the Evelyn type.
Honestly, sorry, I'm just downloading data.
Nice.
There is like a like that. Those opening scenes, she is arguably failing in everything that she's trying to do, right? Because she's trying to do too many things at once, which gets to her character as being like a jack of all trades, but sucking at everything.
Right.
But because she can do that, her mind has the flexibility to become Neo. Because like she's tried all these things and like sucked at them, but because she's done that, some other universe version of her has taken that to the extreme and has succeeded, right? Through every little decision, no matter what it may be. So the opening sequence gives you this nice little, not only exposition to like explaining the characters and who they are, but kind of starting to tap into that circular appearance that is actually a spiral. Right. Because we will return to this scene that you see at least twice in the movie. At least one shot of her near the end when she's like doing the taxes, like right before we like shifting. Yeah, we return to that. But every time we return to it, there is some new piece of information. So in my mind, it's like, if you look at it from one dimension, it looks like a circle. But the characters progress, so it's more like either a spiral up or spiral down, depending on how you look at the movie. But no, it sets up like that first beautiful cyclic action that we dive into for the rest of the film.
Right. Yeah. And the representation of taxes and laundry was just a cycle, right? Like you get, there are people who get to the point where taxes do just punctuate their year. Which is kind of a tragic commentary about how people sort of give up on their dreams and the things that they really want to do in life.
Hey man, there's only two things that are certain in this world: laundry and taxes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's it.
Look, unless you're one of those people who just go buy new clothes. Okay, I've only heard on TV too. I was making sure it wasn't just me.
What am I, George Costanza? What's happening here? Only once a year, just new clothes.
At least George only did it with underwear. He only did it with underwear. But with what you were talking about a moment ago with the multitasking or the presumably ADHD,
Well, like, look what she has to do, right? She's trying to prepare her taxes. She has to cook the noodles for her dad,
well, no, absolutely.
and she also has to bring in her kid. And in
Well,
all of those tasks, she kind of messes up on, right? Like, it's not really. She doesn't
Well,
have a balance.
right, and exactly that. She has to have a balance. And I think that's what this whole thing is about, her understanding. And I think even a message to people who deal with things that make them scatterbrained, right? Understanding that level of balance. So like you brought up the saying a jack of all trades, and then there's the back end of that saying, master of one, excuse me,
None.
yeah, master of none is better than a master of one. Isn't that how it goes?
Or a master of one is better than master of none. Yeah.
Right, there we go. So it was that essential, like, okay, what parts of these things do you need to focus on? What are the more important factors, and what can you delegate off to someone else, like your husband or your daughter? Something that made me realize that, like, she is the center point for her entire family. She speaks to her father in Cantonese, speaks to her husband in Mandarin, and speaks to her daughter in broken Chinese and English.
Mm-hmm.
So she's literally speaking 4 different languages in her own house. So it's like there's a level of comfort in that for her, but there's also a level of misunderstanding towards that point of still needing that balance.
Well,
See,
like,
I thought
yeah,
it
like,
was as a way of just hiding. She
In a sense, yeah.
being busy, when Wayman comes to him in the janitor closet and was like, "We need your help," and she's like, "Go away, I'm very busy." Like, that's her. She is too busy for a conversation with her daughter. She's too busy for a conversation with her husband. She's got to take care of everything, and she likes to do it all by herself because then it gives her a reason to avoid the things that she's been avoiding.
or it could be like an ego stroke too, where she feels like she has to be the one that is the backbone of the house sort of thing. Like, she doesn't even notice, like, the divorce. Like, to not notice an oncoming divorce, to be blindsided by it, you have to be wrapped up in whatever world you're wrapped up in.
Mhm.
For sure.
And take for granted your relationships, for sure.
Yeah, but he doesn't, like, I feel like the husband in the beginning doesn't do that, like, is very question asking. So, like, if you're somebody that takes command, you feel like you know what has to be done, right? Which is Evelyn's character. But then you have somebody that asks all these questions. And if you're somebody that sort of takes command, it's like, why don't you know? Like, you're asking questions that you should know the answer to, which I like because it sets up the wet paper towel of his character, or the foil of his character, compared to the alternate reality versions of himself, which is something that she tends to, like, love more, but ends up loving. Like, he does one action that takes charge, and then the love is rekindled. But I think it sets up all of that, which is nice, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and I would expect the most unfulfilled version of her to be with the most reserved version of him, because he's already reserved. His alpha version is reserved.
Yeah. Well, he fights with kindness, right? Like, it's a secret. Like, the thread throughout all of his things.
Googly
he fights
eyes.
with kindness.
Which represent the absurdity, right? And so it's like, you embrace the absurdism and just start putting googly eyes on stuff.
Hey, man, if anybody's there's like a Certus, it's definitely that husband. He's like the Sisyphus in every reality.
Yep. And he's happy to do it, which is beautiful.
It works out.
Mhm.
I don't know for who, but for him, I guess. I again, so the dynamic between her and her father was different. Their regular versions, their alpha versions, I liked a lot better. Her alpha gong gong. Right, alpha gong gong. But Joy, or Jobu Tupaki, which, okay, let's break down the name Jobu Tupaki. I am Jobu Tupaki. So I initially was like, oh, is this some kind of a play on Tupac? Like, I got to figure out how they're doing this, right? And then I find out it means small gun. Or no, sorry, it means pocket gun. It means pocket gun.
In what, Cantonese?
I guess Cantonese. I didn't get the which language it was in, but that was the translation. And I was sitting there like, yep, nope, it should have been something about Tupac.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was probably like a reference to Tupac too, but that makes more sense that it would be like a Cantonese word. But
I
then,
miss-
Evelyn's
I miss-
response is, "You're just making up words."
Yeah, just making up sounds now.
Yeah.
She said they were making up sounds when they were laughing too. That was great.
It's
So-
actually.
Uh-huh.
No, now that I think about it, just the way that the two characters interact around the multi. The daughter just acts as a rebellion towards the mother.
Yes,
Which,
which would make the mother the establishment or Suge Knight.
You're working real hard on this Tupac.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was working real hard on that Tupac angle until then I looked it up and I was like, so that was the first time, the very first watch reviewing for me. I was really sitting here like, yo, what's the Tupac angle? Like, yo, she real thug. She real thug. I see it. She real thug. And that wasn't it. And then I looked it up and I found out that it was an actual translation for it. And then so the second time around, I was just like, that has nothing to do with Tupac. What the hell was I thinking the first time around? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I was
how
really
you think
looking
it
for the
did.
Tupac references.
Hey, what
Yeah.
if Tupac had reference to the Cantonese thing?
I mean, maybe we find out that some of Tupac's hidden messages are in Cantonese and we just don't know it.
Yeah, who knows?
Fun times.
Conspiracy theories. Start looking at that. Give me a
So-
report.
Hey, look, you never know. You know what I mean? So after we find out she's oblivious to possibly getting a divorce, Evelyn has to go to the IRS for auditing, which didn't even see that coming in this movie. Like, I was really initially like, all right, when are we getting to the good stuff? Why are we at the IRS? What is this? But again, brilliantly done, greatly executed. But we meet Deidre, the IRS agent, who is Jamie Lee Curtis's character. And in my opinion, I wasn't really too convinced about that character at first. But she stole the show at one point. Like, hands down.
Yeah, I like that she's this, sort of very cartoonish villain, but the movie throws you a curveball, and it's in line with the overall message of the movie in the first place. So I kind of like it. You end up liking her at the end, which is
I
not
think
something you
she-
expect when you first see her.
I think she might be my favorite character in this movie, just because of like all the different angles that she takes. And then when she's there at the end, like with her vape, and they have their like little coming together moment.
Right.
Mm.
All of that stuff is just great.
Mm-hmm. Them both talking about how they felt like schoolgirls again, sharing their stories of the heartbreak. Yeah, that was awesome. I share that sentiment. So yeah, now we are officially introduced after the appointment and everything. We learn about the multiverse. We're introduced to Alpha Wayman, and Alpha Wayman tells Evelyn about how to find her jumping pad, and about Jobu Tupaki. Which I don't understand why he didn't just tell her that Jobu was Joy. I figured that wouldn't have been rocket science, but that comes up pretty fast.
I mean, it's his daughter too, and he
Right.
probably had to come to some sort of realization that he had to kill her.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're trying to convince a woman to kill her daughter. Maybe don't tell her it's the daughter immediately.
Or that in different universes that might not be the daughter. Maybe the Alpha universe. Do they meet
True.
in the Alpha universe? Are they husband and wife? Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There has been
Yeah,
like
and the origin of Jobu is that that makes sense.
that she
so
was
she-
mom's guinea pig.
So
Mhm.
so he just may not want to share that pain at this level.
Yeah.
Just that makes a lot of sense.
And that's not something you'd lead with. Hey, your daughter is an interdimensional demon that's trying to find you.
Right.
like-
I would say deity. I don't know about
Deity.
demon. She's
Yeah.
like reach the next
Yeah,
level.
Yeah.
like
She's omniversal, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely the most powerful being so far in this universe. I can honestly say that as well. I would not be mad. They don't need one. There's no reason for one. They don't need one. But I would not be mad at some level of a TV spinoff, not another movie. But if they were to have like say in 5-6 years, we get a short movie made for TV follow-up type movie, that would be kind of interesting.
I think it's just because they do the movie well and the idea of the multiverse well. I think what you really want is just a good multiverse series, because I would agree that this is like there was a short amount of the characters and the concepts where you're like, oh, I wish there was more, but I also wonder if there was just enough that it was like that sweet spot where too much and you might have been messing with the stories and the continuities and the ideas might get convoluted. So I'm wondering if there's just like a perfect amount of all of those elements that just leave us wanting a little bit more, which is the bittersweet side of a good movie, right? Because you're like, man, I could watch another one of these. And it's like, well, we know what the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones did. So
we know what the last
careful.
season of
Look,
a lot of other things.
It would have to be like interdimensional cable for me. Like I would watch a series based off of the show of Hell's Kitchen where everybody has a raccoon under their hat.
Yes.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I would watch that.
Or different animals in general. A raccoon, a porcupine, a fox. I'm down.
Or the sausage finger version of The King and I. Like they had.
That was hilarious. That was
Actually,
so silly.
It would be pretty funny to see like Friends with sausage fingers or something like that. Like just to
Friends
like
with
get all the
sausage
original
fingers
actors
funny.
and actresses. You bring everybody back with just sausage.
Friends with sausage fingers might be funny. Seinfeld with sausage fingers is for sure funny.
Yeah. Everybody loves Raymond. That'd be good too. There's
Oh.
a lot of kitchen.
What
Kitchen
is-
is nothing. A lot of
Frog
cooking, a
voice
lot of bunch
and
of
hot
stuff.
dog fingers.
What I will say is I really love the shifts in aspect ratios and the different types of filters and stuff. I think they did such a good job about portraying multiverse in camera, with tint, with aspect ratio, with different filters. They did such a good job about conveying that in a way where you didn't have to have a giant CGI screen behind you. Like they just use in-camera techniques to show you that this is a different universe than the one you just saw.
They showed you they enjoy what they do.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like as somebody that's watched a tiny bit of anime, but they go like full Neon Genesis Evangelion at the end. The story behind that is that the creators didn't have enough money to like properly animate everything, so they just kind of did whatever they could. And in Everything Everywhere All at Once, you see all these different animation techniques too. You see like just an onslaught of different things, and it is using all of the tools available in visual art.
Oh,
in
like
this
that
movie
shot
that
that's
makes it
focused on
great.
her, like that's focused on her face where she's switching around to like all different universes.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
like
talking
even
about?
like
Yeah.
during the whole rock sequence before they get to the rock, when they're going
right.
through every single thing, like they even see hand drawn stick figures. You
Yeah.
see pretty much like almost every medium possible out, like outside of like Renaissance painting or something. But it's fucking fantastic. And the ability to be flexible makes that flexible makes this movie great.
And I like that they used techniques like camera speed up instead of using CGI. There's a lot of elements where they sped up the camera instead of having to use like a CGI sort of thing going on.
So, small note on that. Apparently, this movie was actually shot in a higher rate of frames per second so that they had the ability to actually slow it down in situations they wanted to.
And then just leave it normal when, that makes sense.
Yeah. Most they call it 24 frames a second, 23,976 for video, and the rest of stuff for audio. Then if you if you film higher than that, then you can always jump back down. TV's filmed at I believe 30 frames a second or 29,997. But you can jump around with these frame rates, and it makes sense to film at higher and then drop down whenever you need to, or make like a medium, like maybe the action shots you want at 60 or 120 frames a second, right? Because you want every detail of that motion, or maybe you plan to slow it down. So no, it's a smart plan to do that, to film at a higher rate and then downsample it. There might be some. No, you should be fine. Yeah, it's fine. I'm getting way too sad. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I do like that also, even though there are multiple universes, there are basically four major set pieces.
Right.
You have the cinematic universe, right, where Michelle Yeoh is a kung fu artist, and then you have that alleyway, which is lit in like really nice green, and it's raining outside. I love that aesthetic. Then obviously you have the IRS building, which takes most of the action, and you have the laundromat. And I think there's a couple other little outside shots. I think they're in a van at one point. Also the everything bagel spot.
The bagel, yeah.
Yeah. But I like that they make use of those like four main areas to give you deeper context, but while also sprinkling in a lot of other examples, like Mike was saying, like the sketched universe, the pinata universe. At one point, they're like a prisoner and a prison guard. Obviously, the Rock universe. Very, very cool stuff, man. Again, such a creative way to display all of this information in a visual medium.
What's great too is like the irony that most of the action takes place in an IRS building. Makes me laugh and giggle on like a nerdy level.
Right.
Well, here's something else about the IRS building. So I read in the trivia section on the app that by the janitor's closet, the section number on the janitor's closet was 1099. Well, I went and looked, it's actually 1019. So 1099 is the simple information form, but 1019 is a miscellaneous information and multiple multiple information input form. So for like all of the different hobbies that Evelyn had, and
also direct, to the
multiverse.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, so that's the small scale, and then the large scale is the multiverse. And that in itself is like, remember at the very beginning, Alpha Wayman told her you can either go left to your meeting or you can go right and go straight into the janitor's closet. And that's where the original portal that she had access to was in that janitor's closet. And that's, to me, why it was labeled 1019. And this movie does that just over and over and over. And it doesn't do it so much that it makes you bored. It does it so much that, like Nick and I have already said, it makes you just want to keep watching over and over. It reminds me of the series Gravity Falls. You can go and watch Gravity Falls 4 or 5 times over the entire series. You're going to find something new every single watch. It's just, that's what, and it's made that way. It's made with all these clues hidden in it for you to basically play games through the season and find new clues. But I think that's a beautiful template, a brilliant template. And as you said earlier, Nick, when you have a good storyline, you can't do that if you're trying to figure it out while you're shooting. If you already know it, it's there. With that being said, that's why I think my favorite character might be the Everything Bagel.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
I like the concept, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who've gotten tattoos of that. So
Already?
that tells you that there's like this movie's definitely a cult hit.
Yeah, it's resonating with people.
Right.
Well,
and I think it's pretty clever.
Think about it, Everything Bagel. It's kind of unnecessary.
I don't know anyone who even eats them.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, before they even see Jobu Tupaki, right? They're having bagels, and Wayman's like, "Oh yeah, some cream cheese," and he's eating just a sesame bagel. And I think Evelyn is eating an Everything Bagel, which is a reference to the fact that she's going to be accessing the everything. But I think that it's a funny, absurd, again, with the sort of like a theme of absurdism. It's an absurd representation of the everythingness that one feels when they contemplate something like the multiverse. And even Jobu says it, when you put everything on a bagel, collapses in on itself. It's just like.
So, like, have you ever had a suicide? Do you know what a suicide is?
Yes. When you mix all of the sodas together, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like what the Everything Bagel is.
It is, absolutely. Yep.
On a bagel.
And see, the thing is, on a bagel. And see, the thing is if you put too much of one or the other, you don't get the mixture just right. It's going to be awful.
Pour it out.
Right.
Pour it out. You better count your seconds down. You better have it right. And everything don't get the same time either.
Right. I will say the introduction of Jobu Tupaki to Evelyn is probably one of the coolest intros I've ever seen in a movie.
Yes, as far as
sure.
the villain intro for sure.
Yeah.
Where she's like changing all the cops into whatever, like all the guns and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I enjoy the the portal that they opened with their hand. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Power they had between themselves because of their level of understanding.
It was also one of those kids games where it looks like a,
Oh, you don't remember that?
not a
Like
spaceship.
here's the church, here's the steeple. Now look what you're.
No, but this one in particular was a sort of sexual one where you're supposed
Oh, that's
to
the
look.
vagina one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where there's a guy like open it up, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
look, it's a vagina." Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because she burst everything, like
Right.
mother of the multiverse.
Yeah. I just love that at some point, like she's, just like annihilating these cops, and then it busts into like a flamenco, and then she becomes a luchador and just like slams that guy's neck.
That was pretty cool.
So fucking crazy, man.
Because if you had like complete power over everything, that's
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
I like how was it the main IRS guy was like a sexual deviant, and he had a whole thing built behind his.
That's one of the directors. Yeah.
Just like the notion that
That's
like,
just
the
real
IRS is sexually repressed.
Right.
It's so great.
Do you doubt it?
Yeah.
No, like you have to be in order to have that job. That's the point. Like it's fantastic.
I also enjoyed though within that whole scene leading up to Wayman. So Wayman and the fanny pack. Listen,
That was a great scene. Very Jackie Chan.
Very Jackie Chan. Great scene. Very much. It reminded me of the one before I knew that he was the assistant choreographer on the one. It reminded me of that last scene. Like even though that last scene they're panning out and he's it's like a drone shot before drone footage really. But it reminded me of that where he's surrounded and somehow, some way, he still has an account of every single person he has to encounter, what they're doing, how they're coming, weight, timing, speed, etc.
Take note movies. You don't have to have shaky cam to film fights.
Oh yeah, no, just get people who can fight and dance.
Yeah, exactly. Get people who can move, and it's totally believable.
Yeah,
even when the guy is I think he's damn near 60, right? I mean, yeah,
probably. I would think so.
Still moves great.
Yeah,
still moves great.
Rolling around on the ground. I like that he did most of his own stunts. A couple of times he had to get a stand-in apparently, but most of the stunts were done by him. His stunts were done by him. So yeah, those kind of things make this movie jump off the page. And when he did that, what I was expecting was for the Joy character, because Joy wasn't there. It wasn't the Joy character. Oh, Evelyn. I was expecting for the Evelyn character to like try to jump in and find her way, but for them to have her not necessarily cowering, but kind of like taking note. Like, oh, this is what we're capable of? Like, how do I get there?
Well, kind of, because afterwards she's on the floor, right? And he's like, you can either come with me or you can stay on the floor. And she's like, I'm going to stay on the floor.
I'm just going to lie here.
I'm just going to lie here. So she's still not 100% willing to be a part of it. It's really only until Deirdre attacks them that she
punches Deirdre.
Well, she punches Deirdre, but that's Wayman after, but then that causes Wayman to fight. But it's only after Deirdre starts attacking them that she sort of succumbs, but she has to profess her love to Deirdre, right. Which I think is great because that little element there sort of almost helps create the Sausage Finger universe. So the Sausage Finger universe is a glitch. And it's because she was trying to think of a place and she kept seeing the kids drawing with the sausage fingers, and then she saw some ad for hot dogs or whatever, and then she thought of Deirdre. And so this weird universe gets created because she had to say I love you to Deirdre, and obviously that's the universe where Deirdre and her are in love.
I love you, Deirdre.
So
what? So yeah, then we see Deirdre chase Evelyn, kind of on some Agent Smith type shit. Like she is really Terminator and everything all balled into one at this moment. But I think it's cool because when she turns into that pro wrestler, oh yeah, baby, oh yeah. That's another thing I enjoyed about this movie. It's very clear that the writers, the directors, the editors, the producers, everybody, they not only just enjoyed this movie, but they enjoy other elements of entertainment. And those things kind of jumped out, like the whole Deirdre choosing a pro wrestler as one of her people, and the consistency of having, say, a martial artist, or just the intelligence of knowing you can choose an opera singer and get lung capacity versus trying to find which one of them used to be an Olympic swimmer. Like, no, get a singer. They can probably hold their breath longer than a swimmer, actually. A lot of those fine points made me like, yo, okay, I gotta rewind this scene. Yo, I gotta rewind that scene. The scene right where, not when Jobu is showing her the donut, but where Gong Gong comes, knocks her out with the wheelchair, and they're breaking everything down all the way up until him telling her she needs to kill Joy. I think I watched that scene like 3-4 times because there was so much information neatly packed into that little moment where you're learning about the Alphaverse, you're learning about the intent of everybody, you're learning about even though Jobu Tupaki's not in Joy at that moment, you learn how much she can really just observe through Joy.
I love when she jumps into our universe's Joy, that scene of her moving her head like a TV clicker. That was a great scene. Very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, right. All of those things, just the details. Like I can't stop thinking about all the infinite details in this movie.
We'll never get to all of them, to be honest. It's like there's so many. There's so many. Oh my god.
What's kind of cool is like in most movies you would see this happen from the Alphaverse.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you don't adds in this whole other layer of finding out knowledge or finding out backstory. But it's cool because it explores this whole other tangent that separates itself from any other movie within the same set of ideas, of like time travel or universe jumping or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives the impression for Evelyn to be the superpower, but in an unconventional way. But a very conventional way for hero sagas, which is tapping into the untapped potential. But it's unconventional in the way that it's even explained to her as unconventional. It's like, oh no, you're the perfect savior because you're shit. Yep. Like you suck so bad at everything. You have the potential to be good at everything, and almost like she's a blank canvas, and she can sketch out the art on her own before she applies paint to the canvas.
I think maybe it's also just the uncertainty she's had. Like we've talked about this jack of all trades, master of none thing. Like she's done so many things, and I think we've said this already, but she's done so many things that she's actually kind of left her as a person in this universe. But she hasn't fulfilled any of those things, so she's in this like quantum probability state where she, both is and isn't accomplished because she hasn't actually solidified any destiny for herself because she's never saw through any of those life paths that she's chosen. So she's given like this superposition of being able to be everywhere all at once, right?
That's the greatest argument to say that you should try everything once and then walk away.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Because you never know. You might just let
the other universe Michael be good at underwater basket weaving or something.
That's okay. Yeah. I'm super also convinced now that I need to do something at least like once a week to break randomness or to break monotony.
Yep.
Because I need to invite some sort of random into my life.
Welcome
just
to the
off chance that it creates a parallel universe or something.
Welcome to the unpredictability club.
Yeah.
Some may call us erratic.
Right.
But it takes illogical people to see certain errors in the ways of the world.
Hey, you know,
Mhm.
you can only watch if you want to know those kind of things. You can't be in action all the time.
Nope.
But what did you guys think about the everything bagel?
Delicious. No, I'm joking.
Delicious. I did want to kind of take a bite,
It
although it
looked.
is
I
black.
don't like.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
It
don't.
looked like it was
Well,
rotten.
no, so the blackness actually. That's the interesting part for me. It made me like. So is that like a charcoal infused bagel? Like how does this work?
Yes, activated charcoal
Yeah,
bagel.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
You know, nowadays they put activated charcoal in everything.
right. I do like the subtle sort of visual representation of yin yang and in the bagel and then the
Yeah.
googly eye. Right. It's like the bagel's black with white, and then the googly eye is white with black.
Mhm.
So again, you get these visual themes that kind of just continue to come back. Again, just reinforcing the story, which is great because
Yeah,
these are the things you come back to.
Mhm.
for the
Oh.
majority of characters too, it's interesting that embracing or taking a bite of the everything bagel is embracing abject nihilism. I think it's what that represents. Like that,
Exactly. That is exactly
like
what it's representing.
you lose all versions of yourself, sort of thing, and you erase yourself from the system.
Mhm.
But for some characters, it brings in like a wholeness, which is
Mhm.
strange. I mean, like it's like a transcendental experience, possibly.
Well,
So
I don't know. I mean, Jobu thinks that it's going to kill her, but it doesn't. I don't think it does kill her.
No.
that's my point.
Yeah, I think it's like some sort of thing
Like
you just sit in.
she wants the nothingness to take her in, but it's more than that in a weird way because it's everything. It's everything and nothing, right?
It's like the Phantom Zone. I really think she just created the Phantom Zone. Only difference is
Maybe.
there's that she knows where the door is.
What do we do with the bagel now that we don't need it anymore?
You lock it in the box like the Phantom.
Yeah, they should have locked it in a box. I don't know where that dimension is, but they should be careful with that thing.
I think in that dimension, the girl's name is Pandora.
There you go. Right. Yes. But yeah, I thought the bagel was kind of a fun little thing. I think there's a certain elements. I didn't think I was going to like the actress who played Joy. I thought she was going to be way over the top, but I think she did such a great job about balancing the crazy over top, the topness of Jobu, and also like the very grounded Joy persona. And I think she did a really good job at that because I think the first time we see her, she's staring into the dryer machine, watching it go around in circles. And, you know, she looks upset and we just think it's because, you know, she's just this angsty teen. But once you watch the movie, you realize why she's upset because she's having those same thoughts that Jobu is having as well.
Right. And she doesn't even realize that why she's having some of these thoughts.
Mm.
So after we get through a lot of that, we're approaching the end of everything. And Evelyn is trying to explain things to Joy, and what she's trying to explain is that you know, hey, listen, she's trying to kill you, she's inside you, I gotta handle this, and Joy doesn't really get it. She ends up having to fight the Alpha Jumpers, and she has to
That
fight
was a great fight.
oh yeah. And she has to fight the Jobu Jumpers. But I thought it was dope when you realize like she's not just fighting them. Then she fights Dog Mom, the Jenny Slate character. The Rakakuni situation, or the Rakakuni guy comes in, he's one of the fighters. But at some point during that, they lose their connection. And I love that proved that it's not like this lifelong thing. Even though, yeah, you might retain some of those things, unless you're actually tuned in and tapped in at that moment, you can't just hold on to something. And because they were under for the exact same amount of time, they both dropped and was just kind of like slapping each other on the chest.
Oh yeah, I like that.
You know, her and Chad.
Yes,
character.
yeah, and then the desperate, frantic search to find something to recharge their jumpers,
and he has to take the trophy and shove it up his ass. And even with Chad originally not making it,
the triumphant like jump bomb where he just jumps towards the butt plug.
Yes, just bare assed it. Yeah. Butt plug waiting for him. And security gets that. But after all of the laughs and stuff, and Jobu essentially kills Evelyn because she's exhausted. Her brain is broken. She starts vomiting, and Jobu sucks all of her essence out of her, basically like Shang
Such a
Tsung.
pity. I'll
Shang-
find you out there in all that noise. Is
If
what
you
she
leave me,
says.
I'll find you.
I was okay with that being the ending of the movie. Like I really was like that little because I think it's about like an hour and 20 minutes in. I'm like it's pretty dark, but I was like, God damn, okay, this is where we're going with that.
That'd have been dope.
But you know, like I'm glad that they continue the movie. But I was like, holy shit, I need to think about this one.
Right.
But yeah, then you know we get this false ending, which is
right. We get the first credits as they call them, and now let's jump into movie number 2, Everywhere. And in Everywhere, we really just see version of Evelyn, or we see Evelyn being a version of what we saw Jobu doing, clicking through all the different multiverses, and you know, Jobu essentially tells her like, "Oh, you're like me now." But I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not trying to kill you. That's not why I was here. That wasn't it to begin with at all. Coming to find out, Jobu just wanted somebody to understand and go through what she's going through, somebody to experience it with. And everybody else couldn't be that. So they were just her lackeys.
Yeah, the people literally couldn't handle it. She's been looking for Evelyns across the multiverse who could handle knowing all this stuff. Yep. And then finally, you know, we think that our Evelyn is dead. But she, I guess, basically just jumps to another universe, and that's where we kind of follow her consciousness until she comes back to that dimension or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Apparently, the only person that died or that's actually dead in this entire movie is Alpha Evelyn.
Yes. Oh no, that wasn't Alpha Evelyn. Oh, Alpha Evelyn and the burner Evelyn. When they go into the janitor's closet, she's in a burner dimension.
Oh wow.
That's what Wayman says anyways. So that Evelyn died too. We see Jobu kill her.
And she's in hell, huh? That's crazy.
Who knows?
I mean, you said a burner dimension.
Yeah, like a burner phone.
Yeah,
like
you just said it was like a throwaway dimension. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So apparently there are throwaway universes that you can just go to that if you like, you know, like need to do something, but you don't really care about the body that much. You can go there.
I hate to tell me my universe is a throwaway universe.
A burner phone, not like a burner at the stake sort of thing.
Right. Absolutely. Very different. Very different.
They might have wanted to burn her at the stake too.
Maybe. I do love the subtleties in Michelle Yeoh and her face and the way she acts around Wayman is so funny because like Alpha Wayman, she turns into a giddy schoolgirl. Yeah. Like you can tell she bites her lips, she starts playing with her face, you know, like it's just these little mannerisms that she has, which are just so great. And man, shout outs to I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but the actor who plays Wayman, because he does such a great job jumping back and forth between the different types of Wayman. That's not easy at all.
Oh no, that's excellent. That's very what was it? Moon Knight? Damn, I forgot which actor.
Moon Knight done better. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it reminded me of, him jumping back and forth because he was able to jump back and through. Jobu Tupaki was essentially the same character the majority of the movie. Evelyn kind of the same because those two were kind of able to interchange, but Wayman was either this version or that version.
Right.
And it was great. It was great. It's like the very easy visual nod with the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you for the audience, you instantly know. And it's a very simple action to do.
I love the first time where they're in the elevator and then he snaps back to normal Wayman. He's like, "Oh, fast elevator."
Right. Yeah.
He's such a sweet character. I love him so much. I don't know, like for some reason that character just got to me so much. It's just like,
even though he's like looking for a divorce, he oddly loves his wife. It's very bizarre.
He's very dedicated.
Super strange. Yeah. There's like a strong sense of duty in him.
Duty, you sit number. But no, yeah, absolutely. I noticed that about the Wayman character too. And as we get to the end and how he impacts Evelyn's decisions, we understand why he was so soft through the whole movie.
Man, he made me cry like a bitch. That's all I gotta say.
So after Evelyn is introduced to the everything bangle, we see a really drastic emotional change, like a really emotional tone change in this
The
movie.
descent.
And we see initially, right, like that Canadian, the way Canadians speak. You could tell the end was coming. You could tell it was very much on the verge.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, did that sound? Sorry, that might have sounded a little off-putting. But yeah, no, it's something I was watching a video about, and I did not realize. And then I started watching other things that happen to be Canadian shows. I didn't even realize that Canadians speak like that. Like they have a certain tone they take when they're ending a sentence or when they're
Canadian accent.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's
yeah,
not
they got
just not
accent.
in the boot. Right, but it's so hard to explain. But when I hear it, like,
it's not just a boot. There's
Yeah.
a whole
you know.
accent to it. Yeah.
right. There's a whole tone.
yeah.
But
There's an accent there.
And if you're a Quebecer, it's even crazier.
oh god,
Quebecois.
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 Yeah.
like you speak French? No,
Yeah.
what?
No. Je suis Quebecois.
Okay.
So, oh
Is
boy.
that French? You sure?
Anyways.
So yeah, Evelyn then turns after that whole emotional tone change. She's not really ready to try to end her life or to end it all. She's like, nah, I can fix all this. I mean, if I'm capable of all of this, I can fix this.
But she's
So
getting
she goes-
seduced by it.
Oh yeah, she's definitely getting seduced by the ending it all. But so she essentially she succeeds in isolating herself, but she starts to learn how much nothing matters, and nothing matters so much that everything she wants to matters can matter. She can even be a rock and make the rock move, but that's really up to her. And eventually she finds out that she has to be nice. You know, Wayman's crying, everybody's trying to kill her, and he's just asking her to be nice, be polite, don't fight, don't hurt these people. Don't fight, Evelyn. Right?
Yeah, well, this is like there's a lot going on, right? So like Jobu in one dimension is walking her to the bagel and sort of talking to her about nihilism and like embracing the sweet nothingness and like really like silver tongue, like, come to the void, the call of the void.
Right.
And you can see Evelyn sort of succumbing to this, and I like that they pan across all the universes and see her character start to succumb to the nihilism. I think in the movie star universe, she says something to Wayman that causes him to walk away. After they had this sort of rekindling, and maybe they might get together. But all across the universes, she embraces the nihilism, and everything starts to fall apart, which I think is a great representation of somebody hitting their lowest point. And they do it so quickly too, which is kind of refreshing for a movie, especially since we know the hero's journey and we know these processes. I kind of do like that she bounces back from that descent pretty quickly. And it would make sense that if you can live all the lives in the universe, you might bounce back from that nihilist descent quickly. If you were inclined to choose so, because if you're Jobu, then you would embrace it, which is that duality thing. It's like, do you embrace the void, or do you live despite it?
Right. Right. Which is a scary thought within itself, and I don't know if I could answer that out loud.
It's a hard question. Everybody has to figure out themselves.
True. Very true. So yeah, Evelyn decides to be kind, and she genuinely tells Deidre that she loves her, and she fulfills everybody's needs, which is, I did not see that coming.
Oh, I love that. That's probably the emotional apex of the movie, except for the scene at the black hole.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that for Wayman, this is when Wayman made me cry like a bitch. Like the concept of him getting stabbed, and then him trying to stand between, his wife in danger, even though she just stabbed him.
And for no reason at all.
And he's standing there and he's just saying, like, please, you guys, please. There's just something so human about it, where he's trying to plead to their better nature. And he says something so like sweet. He says, you know, like, I don't know what's going on. Every day I don't know what's going on and I'm confused. But all I can think of is that it's my fault. And it's just like, got me right in the heart, man. I was like, oh, dude, you're so sweet, man. What the hell?
Yep.
Like, and it's that display that Evelyn sees that brings her out of the nihilism. You know, she sees that. And the cinematic Wayman says something beautiful. He has this whole little monologue to her where he says, you think I'm weak. You know, you think that because I'm kind and I do all of these things, that's some sort of display of weakness. But, you know, I'm a fighter like you. You know, this is how I fight. And I think that's just beautiful. And so, you know, the googly eye becomes the representation of accepting Wayman's philosophy on life, you know, putting the googly eye on the bad thing. And even at the beginning of the movie, you see the googly eyes on the laundry while she's doing the taxes. So it's like, this sucks. Put a googly eye on it, right? Because and now it's funny.
Right.
You know, now it's fun.
Hating the googly eyes at the beginning of the movie.
Yes, absolutely. And so I love that, like, she finally embraces that about her husband. Like, he was able to always make terrible feeling situations feel a little bit better because he had that optimism.
He's a great storyteller, clearly.
So she dons the googly eye and fights with love, which is just it's another great way of sort of subverting the expectation of some sort of big boss battle where you're gonna fight all the bad guys, and instead you're just gonna give them love and you know, let them be blissed out.
Yeah, that's all really need. Little love.
In real life, it's called killing them with diabetes.
That's right.
Kindness. Keep giving them some candy. So sweet here. Thank you so much.
Yes.
More and more candy.
Yes.
And
slowly they'll die. Yeah, that's one way to do it for sure.
It works.
I will tell you one of the other visual things that just like leveled me is when she gets the Jobu, right? And there's like this, they're having their standoff, and Jobu does her tough fighting pose, and then Michelle Yeoh does the fighting setup pose, but then just leads it to open arms.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't know. I'm a sucker for that type of shit, dude. I love catharsis. And yeah, so I always appreciate it when you get to see something like that. And then it goes into this montage of them fighting across universes, and Jobu's like letting all of this anger and rage. She's totally Anaking out on Michelle Yeoh. And, you know, she just keeps beating her with the kindness until she finally just gives up. And
it's that ultimate coming of age story, right?
Yes.
Where you rage, like you succumb to the nihilism because you're young, and you rage against the kindness, but if the kindness is always there, you get brought back in. And that's what the family story is trying to tell, right? Because the daughter is a lesbian that's trying to come out to her grandfather.
Well, she's trying to live. I think she was really trying to come out to anybody.
Well, yeah, she was trying to live, but if you're gonna have your girlfriend over your grandfather's there, your grandfather's gonna find out that you have a girlfriend with your girl. And the grandfather's much like it has like this really concrete story with that, and then every layer of like the metaphysical conversation that we're having just plays back into that story and this love dynamic between the mother and the daughter, and the daughter and the grandfather, and the daughter and the girlfriend, and it plays out fantastic because that love ends up overcoming like the silence. Because at the end of the movie, you have the mom introducing the daughter and the girlfriend to the grandfather. So that's like where all that stuff you're talking about comes out in the physical story, which is like there's so many layers that it's fantastic. They all work together to tell a single thread.
Yeah, and there's even a point, you know, where Jobu loses the sort of like multiverse fight, and then she's like, you know what, fine, you know, like just let me go. Can you just let me go? Like, I just don't want to be around you. Right. And I really appreciate Michelle Yeoh's character for this, because she's like, you know what, fine, but you know, just for your information, you never call me. And we have a family plan, and you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And I really do like that she kind of put it back on her daughter a little bit too by saying, hey, yeah, you just take us for granted and you're only come around when you need something. And now you want to be mad at me about this,
Yeah. 3 sides to every story. Your side, their side, and the truth.
And the ultimate resolution, right, is Joy saying, like, wouldn't you want to be in a universe where your daughter is something more than this? And Michelle Yeoh's character is like, yeah, I don't like being around you, but I wouldn't be anywhere else right now. And I think that's the underlying decision, right? It's like once you know you can be everywhere, the best place to be is the place that you choose to be.
Right.
And ultimately, it's a movie about family.
Yes, it is.
Definitely
just like Star Wars, but different because this movie is actually about fucking family.
Yes.
Yeah, I might say there's no Star Wars-esque in this movie. For the record, you don't find out what's wrong with Star Wars until the 3rd movie. Damn it!
Right.
Stop it! Damn it! No, I'm playing. Well, I'm not playing, but you get me. So at that point, we now get to All at Once. Aha. So now that mom and daughter have made up and dad still can't tap into the multiverse, even though, he has the knowledge now, apparently. But he can't do it. Why he can't do it?
Because Waymond don't need to. He doesn't need to. He's in the universe, the exact universe he wants to be in.
Imagine if Waymond learns how to multiverse jump and he becomes the new villain.
I mean, that would be a heel turn for sure.
Yeah.
That's a nice one. So once we're All at Once, we really just get the short, sweet version of everything going well.
The day replayed.
Gong Gong is introduced to Becky. And what's interesting about Gong Gong being introduced to Becky is he's not only confused, but he's actually dressed this time. See, now the first time he came down, he was in his PJs. So he's actually dressed this time. Comes down, he's introduced to Becky as her Joy's girlfriend, and Joy didn't like that. That's when they go outside and have that discussion. But now that everything's fine, Becky takes the whole family to the office. Still not understanding why Gong Gong goes to the IRS appointments every time. Deidre is no longer the enemy, and everything is there. But then Deidre lets them know, she's glad that they listen, but they don't listen that well because they forgot Schedule C and Dana and Dana and Dana. And of course, Evelyn's not paying any attention. She's floating off in her mind somewhere, which is again takes me back to the whole ADHD thing. Like,
So what I got from this was that this is a replaying of the first day that we see, right?
It was.
But these are now slightly better versions of the characters that we saw in the beginning. So if you'll notice, Evelyn kisses Waymond the way that Waymond saw at the beginning those two old people kissing each other.
Real kissing, and Joy comes with them, which was the initial plan at the beginning. Joy was supposed to come to translate. So now you have Joy with them. Now you have, the healthy relationships. But the movie still makes a point to say that, they're not out of the woods. It's just that they're better versions than the ones that we started with. Right.
I would say they're out of the woods. You
would?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to hear why. But before you say why you think they're out of the woods, I just want to share. I like the way after Evelyn was asked if she was paying attention and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?" Or, or what is she? I think that's what she said. You have that horror movie kind of a exit. And so with that, and maybe that's just how Asian or Chinese movies end. I'm not sure, but that's kind of how I've seen scary movies end. So for that, I was actually right there, oh, they did that. That's interesting. But Mike, what were you saying?
So to me, I think the main focus is how you handle situations. So there's the beginning of the movie, they handle the situation in one way. You have the big journey, then at the end, they've all, like as Nick said, have kind of become better. But I don't think the tax situation was ever the main problem. I think that problem was representative of how the characters haven't grown yet in the beginning of the movie. Once they've grown and now they're all there with the proper translator, how everything was set to be, I don't think that issue is a big issue anymore. And Evelyn daydreams not because she's trying to like escape from the problem, but because it's not an issue anymore. Mainly, arguably, because her daughter's there to translate in like the real world thing. But I don't like these characters have changed so much throughout the course of the movie that the taxes are such a minor problem, laundromat such a minor problem that it doesn't matter when compared to the tribulations they overcame as a family and as a unit.
Yeah, I think Michelle Yeoh even says that, right? We can do anything we want. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that she probably does keep carry on with that too. I don't know if I was saying out of the woods as in like, everything is better, but they still are being audited by the IRS. I think the ultimate thing that they're out of the woods as is that as a family, they're much closer together, which is the thing that will be necessary for them to go through the tax stuff in the first place, like you said. So yeah, I don't think that it matters that much anymore either, especially if you're, like being more friendly with Deirdre and, like your relationships are doing better.
Right.
I don't think that they're going to be too hard up, but I do wonder what the inference of the daydreaming is at the end, because it would seem that that's significant to say something, but I'm not exactly sure what.
Well, because she was bad at everything. She's always a daydreamer.
Yeah, she was.
I
So
think,
I think
like,
that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that carries on. Just at least for her characters, that she's always a dreamer. So always stay dreaming because you might be the hero because you're the worst at everything because you're daydreaming about everything. Sort of.
It's a little like I get what you're saying, but it is a little bit weird after we just spent a movie about being present, and then we see Michelle Yeoh start being daydreamy and spacey again. Which I mean, we did just see her, give affection to her husband, which is nice, which just demonstrates that she is growing as a person. But then we also see her being spacey again, which is
present when necessary.
Right.
I'm present in this universe right now, but if the other universe version of me is has to avoid dying, then I have to be present in that other universe.
I thought the whole point was staying in one universe.
I think
multi-universe jumping, the ability to multitask.
Be in control, right? To be in control of the jump and the person or the body you're taking over. So
I don't know if that has as much emotional resonance as somebody who decides not to jump anymore because they're happy with where they are.
Well, I don't think it was supposed to. So note, I keep bringing up ADHD. One of the notes I read was a part of, again, back to the writing process. The character was written or is supposed to be originally written to have a level of ADHD, and that was supposed to be a part of figuring that out through the movie, and that was supposed to help with the whole multiverse and the daydreaming and all of that. So I'm thinking elements of that just stayed in there because eventually they took it out because it was originally kind of insensitive.
All that much. Yeah.
Right. And through that process, I think it was the director found out that he had a level of ADHD. So
you mean the guy that likes to get ball gagged and spanked?
I believe so.
Really?
So I think when you put all of that together, that information, her still drifting off was kind of still a nod to the multitaskers in the world, like the real world people.
No, look, trust me, I can totally buy your guys' explanation. I just don't know if that conflicts a little bit with the overarching story, or at least the overarching idea.
Right, and I think that's why it's interesting that to you it conflicts, to me it complements, because they're so close, and it's just at this point, like Mike was kind of hinting at, and we could, in reality, we could all have no clue what we're talking about. But
probably I didn't make the movie.
Right, but it just kind of gets to that like, oh, okay, she still has all of these overstanding or understanding issues or things that are going on, but she has more of an understanding towards how to, or an overstanding as to how to take them on and how to execute. And again, that's why I brung up when they had the title come across the screen and it stretches out in that horror movie kind of feel where they freeze frame the picture or the frame of the person, the actor, and then they stretch out the words across their face. Because with her drifting off, what if now we have different fractured versions of Evelyn, and that's where, if we get a part 2, that's where it goes.
No part 2.
No part 2, please.
two.
No part 2, please. Again,
Yeah.
I'll settle for a straight to TV
Ooh.
45
No
minute
extended franchise.
But
No
this is
extended franchise.
No. But
Leave
it
it
cannot
alone.
be called anything about everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah.
Not the same characters. Some level of a spinoff would have to just be suggestive, like, oh, remember this technology was created.
Just watch Quantum Leap, bro. You'll be fine.
I'm
Quantum
down
Leap.
for like the Unbroken thing,
Ooh,
where like some other character, like at the end of the movie, reads a newspaper about this IRS
Bruce Willis
place
fan.
that has where somebody has taken hostages and everything's going
You're a Bruce
crazy.
Willis fan, I know.
But it's a different story within the same universe. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I'm down for that.
Die Hard.
Yeah, I guess you could
Yeah,
play
no.
within the same universe without ever touching those characters again.
And that's kind of what I was getting at as well.
I just feel like they would just bring Jobu Tubaki back, and I really think that it was a perfect amount. It's like she balanced that line of annoying and good at the same time, which I really like. I just think overdoing that character would be a terrible idea.
So you wouldn't, because realistically, there's nothing special about her. So then everybody that could achieve this, or like, there's nothing special about her that can achieve this goal, right? So, and at this point, the sort of multi-dimensional hopping isn't widespread. Right? Even within the Alphaverse, there's some people that found it, some people that haven't, but the Jobu level isn't widespread. But if there's multiple people who can get it, you wouldn't want to see like an army of Jobu that try to destroy the multiverse or something.
No,
like
because if she's an omniversal, omnipotent being entity, then I don't want to see multiples of that. I want her to be the only one, right? Like it wouldn't make sense that she's an internal entity that's just basically inhabited Joy's body.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
she's died in those other universes. She's left trying
Joy
to get
has.
she's died trying to get the joy from the other universe.
Right. With you saying that, Mike, you just reminded me of a theory I had with the Wayman character being the choreographer on the one. This movie could have had more one type connotations, knowing that Joy had killed a few Evelyns and had killed a lot of the other, Jobu had killed a lot of the other Joys and killed some of the other Evelyns.
She wouldn't kill the other Joys, though.
She didn't.
No, she wouldn't, because Wayman's or the Gong Gong says kill Joy because it's one less for her to jump in. There's no reason Jobu would want to kill her own avatar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She wasn't killing them. They were killing them. You're right. But she was killing the other Evelyns.
Yes, because she was trying to find the one that'll accept the universe.
But
Right.
she might
And my
put
theory-
other Joys in like a bad spot trying to kill the other Evelyns.
I believe that. But the correlation I'm going with there though is the movie The One. As different versions kind of fall off, maybe those other versions, the fractures wouldn't be as bad. And because there's a few less Evelyns, a few less Joys in different universes, that makes it easier for them to be able to split between the universes.
Well, she's definitely like
problems with it.
she's definitely reducing her chance of existing in other universes if she's taking, like, if Jobu's killing Joy to try to kill Evelyn, then there's whole branches of the multiverse that she doesn't exist in, which might give her more power, like the existing remaining ones.
Right, exactly. Make them stronger because there's less to distribute, less energy to distribute.
But if she goes into those universe, then she exists in that universe.
More energy to accumulate.
Yeah, like so I don't know, because
Yeah, 'cause they can jump
she's
into other
in the
bodies.
she's in the rock universe, and assumedly there's no joy there anyways, right? Unless
Right.
that joy is that
Well, that's
rock.
the Joy Rock. Yeah, that's the Joy Rock.
Maybe that's the joy rock, and then
But you had Wayman, who was in that universe and still was able to somehow jump into Evelyn.
jump into
That one
Evelyn?
moment where he was talking to, I believe that was him talking to Gong Gong.
When?
When they were explaining everything after the first time we met Jobu.
Inside the IRS office.
Yeah, in the little pocket office that they had hidden in.
She didn't jump into Evelyn though. I don't think, right?
I thought he did. When
I don't think so.
when they were disagreeing and he was trying to tell
I think you can only jump into your own body. I don't think you
Yeah,
can jump into
that part I'm
everybody.
still trying to figure out. I've seen it twice and I still don't really understand if that was a different version of her or him.
That would be kind of interesting though, like if you could hop into like the body of your soulmate or whatever. Like there's that sort of thing in this universe because they're always getting married, right? These two, Wayland and
Right.
Evelyn,
Mhm.
they're always getting married. So if they're sort of like the same mind, that would kind of be fun to mess with.
Play around with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
now
Now
you do all sorts of strange shit.
like now I see what Nick's saying. We would be going way too far if we do take this any further. Because then they'll start doing shit like that.
Of course.
We
I
would
mean-
I wouldn't mind seeing that once, but if that turned into a whole thing, that would be annoying.
The whole point of this movie is that less is more. So let's.
Did you say it's a
It
minimalist movie?
is a minimalist movie. Yeah, sure.
Are you saying this is a pro-nihilist movie by saying that once you get less, unless you get nothing, and nothing is everything?
Well,
Yeah,
they
well,
do-
right.
or if you get too much of anything, it becomes nothing. So yeah,
Yeah, of
Definitely.
course.
it isn't everything.
nothing and everything is the same thing. That's why
Yes,
you put,
indeed.
especially when you put it on a bagel.
On a bagel. All right. With that being said, I mean, very clearly we enjoy this. I can't even think of anything negative we said thus far. I have a question, and then, of course, we can get into final thoughts or anything that you guys think we may have missed. My question: is this a superhero movie?
No. I don't
What
know.
about you,
That was just a snap.
That's not okay.
response.
I'm not gonna run with it.
Yeah.
Michael
No,
thought about it.
no, it isn't. It's not a super. It's more of a sci-fi movie.
Okay.
There's no like public notoriety that you would get with a superhero movie. There's like no big.
No damsel in distress.
The Matrix
Not
isn't
even
a
that-
superhero movie, so
There's no big like. There's no big superhero moment where the hero makes himself apparent as a superhero to the world around itself. I
Correct.
guess.
I fully agree. This is not a superhero movie, but I asked that because I have to say it's the best superhero movie out this year.
I mean, it's a great hero's
Mhm.
journey. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. All superhero movies are based off that template. I would definitely say it's in my opinion, this movie's outperformed my expectations. I think, yeah. I mean, I'll wait until we get to our verdict. But
For sure.
Why is it a superhero movie?
I don't think it is. I think it's more of a savior movie, and it's most savior movies kind of revolve around saving the world and the planet or saving the multiverse. This isn't really about saving the multiverse. This movie is about saving yourself.
your relationships.
Yeah. And the things that make you whole, that make you, which are your relationships. So I think this is a savior movie in the terms of teaching you to love and save yourself, and which a lot of movies don't do. And it does it in a very niche and nice way. Like, it's not telling you how shit you are and why you need to change some things, but it is telling you that, hey, if you view things this way, you might need to take a step back and look at yourself. And that's just really hard to do. That's extremely hard to do nowadays. Everybody wants the glitz and the glam. I think this movie, they didn't care about if you liked visual. They didn't care if you liked dialogue. They knew they had a product and something to prove and something to put out there. And you know, just like Scarface did 30, 50 years ago, whenever that came out, Godfather, all of those kind of movies. The product is out there and it's proven to be worth it.
Yeah, this movie definitely opened up the door to you and tell you which way to go,
Hmm.
which is nice.
Which is what
I
makes
like
it rewatchable.
Yeah.
You could actually, I've already considered the next time I watch this, I'm gonna try to view Evelyn as the bad guy from the beginning, like this just
Yeah.
stubborn, immovable force, and everything's fucked up because you know, I thought about it that way because of Alpha Evelyn is the one who really created Jobu Tupaki. So you realize, like, wait, if Evelyn wasn't so overbearing and everything had to be her way, like Nick said earlier, her needing to be in control of the situation, and that's how she hides herself into work. Had she not been that person, how would this movie have gone? So yeah, you know, my third view, first view didn't know what was going on. Second view, it was like, man, this Jobu character is nuts. And then coming out of that, I was like, maybe it's not Jobu.
Yeah, there is also too a statement you can make about parents pushing children into like overpressured situations with respect to study or knowledge gaining that this movie starts to touch on. Right? There's definitely something there too.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So yeah, final thoughts, guys. I think we kind of already touched them a little bit, but well, we've already said a few of our final thoughts.
All right, I'll say it first. 10 out of 10 would watch again. That's all you
Hey,
need to know.
I like it. Yeah, I'm gonna share that sentiment. Guys, this is my favorite movie now. It's knocked out my top favorite movie. It's yeah, I really enjoy this. I think it's a perfect film. It made me cry multiple times, and just because I'm a sucker for catharsis, so you know I understand I'm a little bit biased when it comes to that type of mushiness, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the layers of symbolism, the layers of philosophy, the sort of struggle between nihilism and existentialism is just so human that I feel like everybody can relate to that,
yep.
Which is nice because this then now becomes a movie that I can't wait to go back to in the future because I think it's going to hold up really well. And I'm kind of excited about that because a lot of times it's hard for movies to hold up in any meaningful way. So, yeah, this is a perfect movie. It's a 10 out of 10. Again, I said last episode, if I could give it an 11, I would, but it's certainly a 10 out of 10.
For sure. Yeah. You know, I firmly agree. This is a 10.
10.
10. You know, this movie, hands down, I'll rewatch it. I'll watch it. I'll rewatch it. I'll watch it. I can't say it's my number one movie of all time. I still have movies like Above the Rim and things like that up there, and a couple of other flicks. But this, without a doubt, is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time as of today. And if I'm being honest, the only reason I won't give it number 1 is I've watched so many movies that I'm sure I'm just not thinking of something right now.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's top 5 and it's not 4 or 5, I don't think. So yeah,
Nice.
definitely that.
Not bad.
Love every aspect of the acting in this. I'm actually curious to know what what's her name? Stephanie? Yeah, Stephanie Shu is in next. All the other actors and stuff in this, we pretty much we know when they put something out, we're gonna hear about it. It's gonna be on TV. Their names, their faces are gonna be everywhere. Another reason I was surprised to not have heard so much about this. I didn't even know Jamie Lee Curtis was in it until I started watching it the first time. And then I had a hard time believing that was her. I really had to like, is that? No way. And I had to pause and go like, oh shit, that's her. But you know, Stephanie Shu, definitely interested in what she does next. And getting the background on Ke Huy Quan. Interested in what direction he goes in next, seeing as how this is his like first role back into the acting realm. Who knew after 20 years you could still have such great chops, but he never left the industry, so I'm assuming
that's right. He's just behind the scenes.
Yeah, still staying sharp just in case, and it paid off.
Big time.
So yeah, I don't even know what else to say. I want to just keep talking about how great this movie is, but I mean, how much more can we say without, suckling at the teat at a point?
I do think that we should give a considerable thank you and shout out to our listeners for last episode that we did. Thank you guys you put us to, I think we're at 1.5 thousand views for RRR right now, which is fantastic. We really appreciate it. And thank you for everybody for commenting too. We appreciate all of your recommendations. I think we got a few recommendations for other Indian films that a lot of people thought were good. So thank you guys so much for enjoying the review and for engaging with us. It really means a lot to us. So I wanted to just make sure that we said thank you.
Holy unfathomable view count, Batman. Did we really get that?
Yeah. We tapped into some sort of thing, and it just that episode took off, and we got a lot of really constructive comments from it.
I think we found a new market. I'm all down.
I agree.
I got about 3 hours a week.
Yeah, there was the recommendation. The top recommendation that we would review in the future is called Sardar Udham, and from what I hear, it's one of the best directors in India right now.
Wow!
Basically, him and the guy that did RRR are considered the two best directors in India right now. So
very nice.
I'm down.
Thank you for the recommendations, you guys, and we'll definitely be reviewing that in the future. So just wanted to say that before we wrap this up.
Hi, bro. Yeah.
Back to you, Keelan.
Oh, no, by all means. I appreciate you for sharing that. It's so funny when we see these kind of things, and then sometimes we just don't think about it when we're on air. So thanks for remembering that one. Thank you. Right. With that, guys, thank you for everybody who has tuned in this evening, this afternoon, this morning, this shadow time, whatever time it is you're moving about, listening, watching. We appreciate you. Be sure to pull out your devices right about now. I'll give you some time. Use your pen and paper if you're still living in the 90s. That's fine. I understand. I go through that sometimes too. And what you're going to do is you're going to write down some things that I'm going to catalog for you right now. All through the week, we're going to have material for you. Content coming. So start out on Wednesday. Since we're on Wednesday, we're going to start Wednesday. On Wednesday, you're going to check out right here at the Screen Time Continuum. We're going to be here for you on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. On Thursdays, you're going to head over to Twitch. You're going to check out Dejan on Strawberries Coffee. You're also going to be able to check out his archive over on YouTube. Dejan goes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he also goes on Impromptu. So just like all of our other pages, be sure to hit that bell, the subscribe, so you get the notifications every time we go live. And even if you miss it, you'll just be able to go to your little subscription inbox, and we'll be right there for you whenever you're ready. When you head over on Fridays, you're going to be able to check out the Exofathom. Exofathom is available on Facebook and YouTube. Hey guys, what are some of those other casters that you're on? I know Rumble is one of them.
Rumble, Verbal, Odyssey.
Rumble, Verbal, and Odyssey. And I'm going to have more confidence in myself because I had all three of those right here logged.
You got this, man.
I was going to get this wrong. I appreciate that confidence, brother. So yes, Verbal, Rumble, and Odyssey, along with YouTube and Facebook, you're going to be able to go over there and catch the Exofathom. The Exofathom comes on Friday at 8:30 p.m. as well. 8 p.m. And you'll be able to catch that Fridays, 8 p.m., hosted by Nick, Mike, Ayla, giving you some really great stuff over there, guys. What I need you guys to do, again, every single page I say right now, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you haven't hit that little ding ding, that little bell, hit that ding ding. It's just going to pop up in your notifications. And, I know how notifications go. We don't check all of them. But just like that inbox for subscriptions, it's going to be there when you're ready for it. Saturday mornings, head on over to This Married Moment. This Married Moment is available on YouTube. It's also available on Facebook. You can even, if you're on Twitter, head on over to Twitter. That'll pop up usually about 12 hours after they post it. And the they that I'm talking about is myself and my wife. We'll be posting for you on Saturdays, This Married Moment, between 10 and 12 p.m. Saturdays, check us out. We'll be there for you guys. Sunday, you're coming right back here to Screen Time Continuum. Now, you like how we did that? We give you a Wednesday and a Sunday. So you get two totally different reviews, different movies and or TV shows right here, Screen Time Continuum. Facebook, YouTube, like, subscribe, ding, ding. Make sure you tell your friends about us too. And on Mondays, we'll give you a day off. We'll give you a day off. Tuesdays. I already gave you one Tuesday. Here's your last Tuesday. On Tuesdays, you're also going to head over to If Numbers Could Talk, also available on YouTube and Facebook. Check out Spotify as well for that podcast, If Numbers Could Talk. And that is hosted by myself, 8:30 p.m. Tuesdays. Now we're back at Wednesday. Screen Time Continuum is here. We appreciate you guys for sticking around, for letting me work this out. You know, we're gonna tighten this up, like we keep telling you.
I thought we were gonna go in a circle again, to be honest.
No, we're not. No more loop-de-loops, guys. But yeah, no, we're working on getting some graphics for you guys. But in the meantime, we want to make sure to give you the details on exactly where to find us, how to find us, and we appreciate you for being there. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Headphones.
We appreciate you guys. Make sure you turn this up a little louder so people can go, hey, who are those guys you listening to? They just don't stop talking, do they? No, we don't. And we appreciate you. Have a great one.